Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you are all doing fantastic. Let me just share this. Right, so I apologize for a bit of a later stream than I'm usually used to. But I had to make sure that before I started this live stream, I wasn't going to be crashing the graphics card every 5 minutes, which is what I was doing before this live stream began. Let's turn this down a bit. It's a bit loud. Fortunately, it's a quiet song. So, yeah. Let me just grab the chat. Yeah, bit of an late one. So yeah, it'll be a bit of a shorter stream, but I don't think that's too much of an issue. Let me just mute my computer. Apologies. Because I can't pause my live stream. There we go. Okay. And right, let the chat load. Any day now. Yo. Let me just change to chat. Void, how you doing, dude? Good to see you, my man. Ratchet, love to see you too. Let's just change to live chat. Are you sure this is going to be the last part? I believe so. Right. If it's not, we'll have to do. If it's not the last part, we'll have to do what Attack on Titan did. Final part 2, final part type stuff. But anyway, but I do believe. Okay, so what I've decided to do is do something completely different. The buffer I was dealing with previously was order dependent. I've now effectively moved the buffer, device address buffer, that we use for position and stuff. Each instanced rendered thing has its own positional buffer now. So that means we can do a delete swap completely fine. Last part page, indeed. Good to see you, TT. Also, there might be a bunch of people doing a bunch of... Hello, Madhu, how you doing? Just so you're aware, in the live stream in the background, I hope this isn't too bad, but I think there's a bunch of gardeners outside my flat doing a bunch of gardening. So if you hear a lawnmower, that's what that is. I hope it's not too loud, but I can just hear them with a weed whacker, thing at the moment. So it might get a bit louder in a minute. I've got all the windows open because it's still very hot today. Anyway, so the buffers were order dependent. Now each instanced thing has its own buffer, which was kind of tricky to set up. And this is what we should have been looking at the entire time yesterday, but I realized, but then I was like, oh, it's not too bad actually. It's not too bad. But then I was like, wait, this is a terrible thing. So I have loaded things like duck, rock, duck, rock, duck, rock, duck, rock, duck, rock. That's how I've always loaded them. But yesterday, if you remember, we had rock, 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 duck, 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 in that order, which meant we were displaying things in the order, not necessarily in the order that they were presented. Loaded. Which was kind of a bit of an issue, because if we had like a level designer and we were like, okay, we're going to put this thing here, we're going to put this thing there, and then all of a sudden I decide to just mix everything up, then yeah, that's going to cause some issues down the line. So what we have at the moment, and because of that, because each instance has its own buffer device address to work with, we can do a delete swap. And if I delete the first doc out of this, okay, so I'm messing around with instance counting right now, but this is the final thing we need to fix. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rocks. So it's deleted a rock when it shouldn't have deleted a rock. And that's the final thing we need to fix. We don't mind anything from escape point. Yo, thank you. So we are I believe we're very close. This is actually what we should be seeing. We should have been seeing this the whole time. It crashes on close, and I've just been going in and out of render doc, making sure that the buffers are shrinking, so 0 to 4, for example, in this case is correct because that's a buffer of 5, and we'll have a different buffer here that has different data in. So it goes 30, 90, 150, and then this one is what? I think this is a different. Yeah, let's get a different thing up. But effectively, I've been going through this, and let's go with. Is there another way to look at this? No. Okay, there we go. So like 240 for some reason, and 60, 120. I hadn't clicked on the right thing, and 240. So these are different numbers. So it looks like we're still getting this weird issue here, but it's going to be a lot easier to work with. So it looks like the second index draw call are the ducks, and just so you're aware, everyone, if I remove this piece of code, which reduces the amount of instances in the scene, everything kind of works, right? But this is a bogus thing's working. So, right, I wanted to delete this guy. We deleted that guy. And we have no ducks turning up in the rocks or anything like that. The problem with what I've just done, though, is the fact that I'm rendering 5 instances when I've removed of ducks, five ducks, right? I'm saying to the graphics card there are 5 instances of ducks, and now there are 4 on the screen. I think what's going to happen if I let this keep happening, it's going to degrade and eventually it's going to crash. What I haven't tried is actually deleting the next duck. Okay, right. So it won't let me delete the next duck, which makes sense, I think. Anyway, so yeah, and that's me not freeing resources. That's what that means down there. Unfreed resources. So there's some stuff I haven't handled properly yet on close. So have you considered instance only some objects? Like, do you need to instance the one player model, for example? Yeah. For now, everything is instance drawn, but yeah, we can do non-instance drawn. What's my GPU? It is I think it actually displays here. What does it? Am I lying to you? There it is, look. A GPU used NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4070. So that stands to your question. Yeah, like you might have 7,000 asteroids in one player. Yeah. Did you try adding? No, I haven't tried adding yet, but it's getting to the point where because the things that I'm instance drawing are separate out in their own buffer, like it's not going to affect the positions of the other buffers right now. So we're not currently rendering the player as well. We're just rendering things in a line so I can see where things end up visually. So yeah, let's just work around what we did then. So if I say models, I have a feeling that... Oh, I've also completely restructured everything as well. So now we have an array of rays for our data. And let's talk through that. Oops. So we have an array of rays. And this is convoluted as hell. So I don't... If you guys don't follow along, please ask questions and stuff. But I will try and improve it. This is also, if I get it working very quickly, then I will start refactoring stuff. So yeah, ignore the magic numbers here, but this will be improved eventually. So the array, the outside array stores the total number of types of things that are going to be instance drawn. So in this case we have a rock and a duck, right? All very familiar with that. And within that we have the actual data itself. So this within this array is the actual data for that specific entity thing, right? Whatever it is. And as far as I can tell, that is good because that means that the buffers. So when I start creating the buffers, for example, like here, we say, okay, for the duck, and at the buffer point 0. So for example, at this point here, at element 0, add in the color and the position. And if we come across duck again, so like, oh, we're on duck again, then we just get the instance count that we're currently on. I had to do it with this variable. I couldn't just pass it in for some reason straight. But anyway, we take this variable, which is just the instance count, which gets incremented by 1. And we say, okay, so, okay, we're on duck again. The instance count is now 1. Now add the position and color, right? And then, okay, duck again. The instance count is now 2. Okay, so now add the position and color. And this keeps going until, you know, we run out of space. I think I'll eventually make this a pushback thing because I don't exactly know ahead of time how many things are in here, but that's fine for now. The rest are still indices into different arrays, and this is the same for the same setup, for exactly the same setup for the debug geometry. And that means that when I create these buffers, I have to make sure that I create 2. And 2 of these buffers, this because it's a CPU side buffer, as we've talked about prior. So for each, like for example, this is like a duck again. No, this is a different array. Let me go back. So now the model data with all the transforms and stuff owns their own positional buffer or rigid body buffer, which are different. So this is for the debug geometry. This is for, again, this is a bit convoluted, and we'll try to simplify this. Positional buffer. This again is a magic number, but this will be eventually. I'll make it accessible so I can say the frames in flight is 2, and then I can just pull it from wherever it is. Right now it's kind of locked within GPU device, but this eventually will just be like a global variable that we can say, okay, get the frames in flight. That's the total frames in flight. So with that array, we the model array itself owns the positional data, and we have to make 2 because it's a CPU side buffer, right? Okay, so the final bit, which is kind of cool in my opinion, because I've done that, I don't actually have to carry duplicates of the same, so I don't have to duplicate the actual buffer data. I can keep the buffer data exactly the same, but when I update the buffer data, let's just say I delete an entity, right? Because I go into the model data and I extract out the positional data, which is on the current frame, the VMA copy memory to allocation function knows which buffer I'm on, so I don't have to go, okay, and this is the original buffer. This is the actual data that we looked at earlier. So this will be like the duck entry. So this is, you know, let's just say we're on duck here, duck model index type, and that'll just be all the data that's in duck model index type that we built up earlier. Because this is a CPU side buffer, and we have the current index here accessed, we don't have to have like, I don't have to, for example, have a GPU current frame as well, like make it a 3-dimensional vector. It can stay as a 2-dimensional vector. And I think that's how we want to do it, because we access the buffer here, we have the buffer address accessed here, and we use that same thing for the memory allocator. So it knows where it's copying to, I believe, based on this here, when we actually access the resource. Hello, bro, the Phoenix. So yeah, you're lost. Yeah, I understand this is extremely convoluted. I'm gonna say that there's probably a better design out there. I'm not gonna say that I've done the best design ever. So if you're lost, just keep in mind that we have a CPU side buffer here. So we need 2 for those. We need 2 of these. And we are writing the same data to both of those buffers, right? So we don't have to carry duplicates of the data, like 2 separate separate slots, which is what we were doing yesterday. We were carrying 2 different buffers and we were carrying 2 duplicates of data for those individual buffers. Now I just write the same buffer data over to 2 different buffers. So the buffer data is 1. The actual buffers themselves that get written to are 2, and we write 1 data over 1 frame, and then we write over the next buffer data, which is the same again, this same data, but it'll be a different buffer this time, the next frame. I'll refrain commenting on how I'll refrain commenting on it as long as it works. Yeah, it works. Hi, Kalia. I'm very lost, by the way. Yeah, feel free to ask questions about specifics. I'm not exactly sure what to explain. What was confusing, but basically, I understand it's convoluted as hell because I understand why it's confusing. The reason it's confusing is because we have arrays within arrays within arrays within arrays kind of thing going on. So, and we have like array that has an array, and it's kind of like, oops, it's kind of confusing. It's honestly been confusing for me, so it's not like game dev is confusing, yes. So when I grow up, I will make this a port, and I'll name it DTE, dedicated to scale. Oh, thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. Like the secondary buffer, you're writing to the primary buffer. So we have 2 buffers, but we have 1 data that goes to each buffer. So you can imagine like we have, I don't know if, so what we had yesterday, which is what we're trying to avoid, is we had like, so I want to call this data, right? So we had 2 individual copies of the data, and we then had like 2 buffers. And the reason we had 2, and let's go to white. Yeah, buffers, right? So we have buffers and data. And this was kind of silly because I was like, okay, when we are in this frame, so this is frame 0. So let's just say we're on frame 0. We do this, we write, and then the GPU is reading from this buffer. So we could say the GPU over here, I guess. Let's just do a big rectangle. This is the GPU. GPU, right? So it's reading from this buffer, and then we swap. So then once this is finished, ding, then we do this, right? And then we do this. So in that order. Now, all I'm doing, the only difference is what I'm doing this time instead is I'll take black. Okay, there's the lawnmower. Hopefully, you guys, you can hear me. All I'm doing is this. This is the only difference I'm doing from yesterday. So we take this white, and let's just say we're on number 2 again. I just do this, right? I don't have 2 separate bits of data. I have the same 2 buffers, and the GPU is swapping between them, and the data is just writing out into different buffers depending on what frame we're on. So hopefully that makes sense. What's going on? So I cleaned up a little bit, but each of these buffers, so these, sorry, the data, I should say, the buffers are slightly different. The data itself is for each instance, so this is like for each instance, right? Okay. So if I do like the instance in blue, this is all I've done, right? I've gone, right, so the data, this is the nested array. So this is like one instance. This will be like ducks, and then we have like another one. I don't know. Let's take, let's just select all this. Oops, I didn't want to do it. Copy. And then like, how does this work? I don't actually know. Paste. Yeah, so then we have like another one. And then we just swap to a different type of buffer. Because we have completely different data now. Separate. We then now have duplicate buffers. Not duplicate buffers, like smaller buffers. So this would be like the duck. This is the ducks here. And this is the rocks here. And the GPU is still just reading the individual buffers for depending on the buffer device address that we're using. So yeah. Hopefully that explains a little better. I'll explain it as I go as well. What are we doing for this stream? We are just cleaning up basically the instance count. The instance count is not behaving in the way I expect. We reduce the index count by 1, right? Let's just say that we have a... no, let's not do that. Let's just say we remove something from the... we remove something from the buffers, right? The way this only works at the moment is I have an instance count of 5. For each, if I remove an instance count, we end up getting a incorrect deletion of the wrong elements from the array. So what I hope to achieve is, because we've done this, because I've done this work earlier today with all this buffer stuff, we can now just fix the instances and get that to work. Yes, yeah, Ratchet's 100%. That has confused me to no end, and I think I've actually learnt my lesson this time. Frames in flight is not swap chain images. That's something to be important. The Loose Goose, good to see you, my guy. Paint is cool, but sometimes it reminds me of that Blizzard dev, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. I think that, yeah, I made the... as soon as I busted out Paint, I was like, yeah, don't call me that guy. You know who I'm talking about. So yeah, it's convoluted. What I'm going to try and do is with the with all this, we're gonna abstract. The problem at the moment, I think, why it's so complicated is because everything's so together, right? What I'm going to eventually do is pull all this out. We're not going to have rigid body data and entity data together. Basically, I just need to group the data together to make it make more sense in their objects. Because right now everything's just in scene, and we have like everything that we could ever want in the scene in here. So so there we go. 1,000 greater minds than me have been confused by escape point. Yes. Without 100% a doubt, this is the most convoluted the code base has ever been in. So, this is, I hope, as complicated as it's going to be, and I'm going to reduce the complexity once we've got stability for deleting entities. Should have used GIMP. I struggle to just do this type of stuff in GIMP. I don't know. Like, I want to just draw a square, and it's like, oh, did you want to do this? No, I just wanted to draw a square. Yeah, maybe I should, I mean, I do have GIMP open, so maybe I should actually try and use it. Anyway, right, let's get on with this. So, the issue I'm having at the moment, if I go to scene, is how many instances we have is kept separate from the actual data itself. So it's kind of tricky to figure out what we should be deleting. So, for example, if I have model 0, I think... Actually, I wonder if I can do a models... duck, right? So, we were removing the first element, which is a duck. I hope maybe we can reduce an instance count of duck, and that may be helping... That hopefully won't reduce the amount of us deleting a rock. Alright, so, because I don't want to delete this guy, right? But I have a feeling that we're going to delete this guy. So yeah, keep an eye on that. And this as well. Oh, okay. Okay, so let's have a look at... Let's go make sure we go inside the rocks. So that actually worked. Right, let's just go through. Just making sure there's no rock. Okay, so now we've got to make sure that this guy didn't just teleport to exactly the same position here, right? That has happened. So the only way to check that is to actually run it in... and we should also, hang on, delete sphere, so debug models sphere as well, I think, right? We want everything to go down by 4 because we're deleting both buffer elements here, so let's give that a shot. Vulkan swap change sync is notoriously bad. That's a common pain. Oh, 100%, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, to have buffers equals a number of swap chain images. Yeah, no, yeah, like Ratchet said, we have swap chain images are kind of like their own deal. We have to kind of deal with them completely separate. I will just say that. I think Ratchet's explained already, but I'll just make sure that we're on the same page about like swap chain images are doing their own thing. They are dealing with what are they dealing with? They're dealing with presentation pretty much exclusively. If I actually get them up. And frames in flight for everything else. Give me a minute. I think it's possible I just lied then. So if we go to present. So yeah, we signal a semaphore to tell us when the thing is going to be done. This is the only time we use the actual Vulkan swap chain image, except for dynamic rendering. I will say that, but we're only talking about semaphores here. This is what I wanted to show. And then, yeah, there is a caveat here. Dynamic rendering also needs swap chain image, Vulkan images. It is convoluted as hell. This is probably more convoluted than my code somehow, but anyway. And then we present with the swap chain image. Frames in flight are used for just before the presentation. So that's what we wait on. That's what we signal. And then that's what we wait on here when we are in here, right? So this needs to be finished. This needs to be waited on. So we need. I think this is going to say, if I'm correct, we need to at least have gotten the swap chain image from the acquire image. So I think that's what we're doing here. Because if I scroll up to new frame, we are there's the image semaphore that's signaled. We signal this. We absolutely have to get swap chain image. We have to wait on that. We wait on that. Then we say, okay, when we submit, we wait on this guy to finish this thing. And then we can actually, once that's finished, then we can actually present to the screen, which goes to the presentation engine. So yeah, that's swap chain images are all about this and that. Yeah, so yeah. And the reason you don't use swap chain images for this guy is because you actually have to. This is actually where you get the swap chain image index. So anyway, and dynamic rendering as well. You need dynamic rendering for Vulkan image index. So hopefully that explains like we're dealing with frames in flight, not swap chain images here. At the very least. And I think if you use the timeline semaphores, that looks a little. I don't know. I actually don't know if timeline semaphores affects this. I can't remember. But this is a Vulkan 1.1 way of 1.0 way of doing things. There are more modern ways of doing things. But anyway, let's. I think I'm getting slightly sidetracked here. But hopefully that cleans up that. So frames in flight different from swap chain images. And frames in flight's goal is exclusively just to get the CPU and the GPU to work independently of each other. That's it. That's the goal. So that's why we have two buffers. So we can write to one where the GPU is reading from it, and we can write to another one, right? And then we swap them around. So, doop. I have 2 frames in flight after the suggestions in the Discord. I didn't really have any preference, so people have said lower latency equals better. So 2 frames in flight, and on this GPU at least, I have 3 swap chain images. So that's how you know they're different, right? I have 2 frames in flight and 3 swap chain images. That'll be, and the swap chain images will be different depending on your graphics card. Anyway, right, so let's get this up in RenderDoc and see what we actually have. So launch application. To be honest, my code doesn't interact with swap chain images very much, like 3 render systems built in debug and IMGUI and some sync. Yeah, that's basically my stuff too. It's mostly frames in flight. Right, so we want to delete one and then just check out what's actually in those buffers. So we should see, right, yeah, so that's the docs rendering at 4 instances. And we've deleted the first one, which is nice. The next task is delete a middle one. Okay, so let's have a look at our pipeline. And thank you again yesterday, guys, for teaching me how to do this. This was a massive help. So this is my concern: is index 0 just flashes to a point in time. So I think if I delete the middle one, this. Let me think. Let's try and delete. How would I know if index 0 is just literally on top? I think what I'm going to have to do is do a host visible read thing. So what I'm going to try and do is, because what might be happening is the duck here, we might have 2 ducks on top of each other, but they're literally the same model, so I can't see if that's the case. So what I'm going to try and do maybe, feel free to shout out some better ideas, but I'm going to do a host visible read and write buffer instead of just a host write. And then I'm just going to increment index 0, which shouldn't exist anymore, by some value. And I'm just going to see if when it's moving, does it just sit here? Does it just get teleported to this point based on that data? Because I've deleted this buffer, right? I don't actually know if this is actually junk data now or what, right? So we'll see. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We gotta do that because of a cleanup issue. So, so yeah, we're effectively gonna do this, right? But obviously, the first thing I need to do is change my buffer type to be able to randomly access. No, that's gonna be in C now. We moved it to somewhere else. And create bonus buffer. So everything is now going to be this, so we can actually read without invalidating things. Okay, so now what I'm going to try and do is when I press another key, I think we need to have a... we don't really need this anymore. Okay, so I'm going to have another key press here. And let's do... Okay, so we already did 0. I'll do 9, I guess. So now we're going to take the same thing. This would be entity data. And all I'm going to do is literally just... So this would be... Oops. Element 0. I'm going to take the position. So this... I don't know what's going to happen if it's supposed to work. So let's do M. So this could crash the G. I really hope it doesn't. But yeah, that's effectively all I need to do. So let's also do, just for clarity's sake. I hope this works. I hope this doesn't work. I hope this just does something stupid. So we need this to be rigid body physics, which is the debug geometry. This is just called position. And okay, so that's going to move in the X direction. This is incredibly slow. You should try to avoid this as much as you possibly can. But yeah, I just want to see if it exists in the right place. Right, okay, so deleting works, right, well, in theory. So if I press 0, and then I press 9, let's see what happens. Huh. Okay. What? Okay, this is a good and bad sign. Okay, so something stupid happened. Interesting. Let's see if I can increase the stupidity. I don't know why I did that. That's absolutely insane. That's a good sign for one reason, that it's possible that I'm modifying junk data and then it doesn't know what to do. But what I want to see is I didn't quite get to see if the last position in the index moved. It's still possible that there was another one on top, right? So we'll see. Okay, so delete, and then 9. So we still have I am going to say that this has been a success. As far as I can tell, I'm going to throw this into RenderDoc in a minute, but I have destroyed this in a way I think it's visible enough that it shows that there isn't a duplicate. Because I've destroyed this guy now, right? This is the one I've destroyed. The one on the rock. Whereas previously it was like over here. Like, what I'm getting is gibberish, and that's kind of what I hoped. I kind of want gibberish, for what I'm doing. Because if we didn't get if we just got like a regular move, for example, if we got like I don't know, let's just say a duplicate of this guy, right? Before I destroyed it, just moved, I don't know, like down here, like where I am now, about here, something like that. That would mean that there is still a valid buffer in here, and all I'm doing is moving it from here on top of another thing. The problem if I don't get that right is that I'm just going to get a memory leak every time I delete something on the GPU. So let's throw this into RenderDoc and make sure that when I'm doing some gibberish, it's starting to come out as gibberish, because this hasn't resized, which I hope is the case. I hope it's just picking up data. You see, like when I'm doing something wrong, it's like it's just picking up something random like junk. Anyway, let's give this a launch and do the same again. So we delete this one. So yep, like I said, this is just a normal doc. We delete this fella, and then I press 9, which, you know, is supposed to offset the position, and it does that. Okay, and then we capture that frame. Okay, so what actually is in that data then? So this is the ducks, pipeline, push constants, other name plus, and interestingly, oh, hang on, I made a mistake. I'm an idiot. This needs to be 3, not what I'm doing. I forgot how matrices work for a minute. Okay. Okay. Yeah. It's still okay, maybe 3 doesn't exist. What's wrong? Oh, hang on. I've got this open in RenderDoc. Let's try that again. Okay, so that was just me making a mistake in maths. Okay, that is a good sign. As far as I can tell, although it's moved these individual things differently, right? It still doesn't quite make sense what's happened, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm going to throw this into render doc as well, just to make sure. Because that shouldn't have affected the rock at all. That should have affected only the duck, and it affected both. So I think we're messing around with junk data, which is what I want actually. And again, we're on element 0 here, so let's go element 0. In fact, we did a delete swap, didn't we? So the last element is now here. Yeah. This makes total sense, right? So let's run this again. So we did a delete swap, and then I did a 9, and we moved. Okay, did that rock move? I don't think it has. Let's do a bigger movement. Give me a minute. Let's do. Yeah, just verifying things all work. Let's do 50, right? If that rock roughly stays where it is. I might have been confused by the fact that the geometry moves. So we do a delete swap, delete, and then we do a move. Okay, perfect, right? So yeah, this is the last element in the list. It's been swapped with the first element in the list, and yeah, we have a duck. Very cool. That's good. That's good. That's exactly what we needed. That means we're actually deleting it from the list, despite what render doc is saying. Because it's impossible to move something that doesn't exist, right? Okay, cool. Okay, that's a relief. Okay, so we don't need this anymore. The only downside is like now with a delete swap we can't actually instance into the. We need a way to index into them in a different way than just the actual for loop themselves. But that's fine. That's fine. We can make it order independent by using the entities. And that will hopefully track where things are in the array rather than just the for loop of iterations. So anyway, so I'm really happy with that. We've fixed what we needed to fix for there. We have the instance rendering subtracting by 1. Render doc isn't saying that things are being deleted, but I think they are, as far as I can see. Right. Okay. So yes. What do we need to do next? That's the next question. Yeah, I can get rid of that. Now, obviously, make this make sense, obviously, is the next step. Now, I'm kind of curious. What happens if I delete 2 elements? So I delete element 0, and then what? I'm kind of curious, right? So is in this case, the first element that we delete 0... It should, I think, delete this thing. We'll see. Oh. Oh, okay, right. That makes sense. Yeah, so we deleted this one because we did a delete swap with it. We delete swapped also the collision geometry. Okay, so that's actually... That's correct. That based on what we did, where we did an offset, right? That makes sense. The problem is the collision geometry. Okay, so we need to be careful, very, very careful with how we end up deleting these things. So this element's not going to cut it. We can't just say delete randomly element 0, right? As far as I can tell, we need model, the model index in here instead, right? I think that's what we need to do, as far as I can tell. This might be order dependent. Hang on, let me think. This might be order dependent actually, but these might not be. How do I access elements once they've been deleted in a way that makes sense? Is the question I'm trying to ask here. So we do a delete swap, right? On everything. And I say I want to delete the next duck in the sequence, right? We need a way to find that duck and the corresponding debug sphere that works with that after a delete swap. We can't just assume that they're in order anymore. Hi, just woke up. Ah, Detri code. thank you for joining us. I hope you had a good night's sleep. Or a good day's sleep. I'm not sure what time it is for you. But yeah, thank you for joining us. We're on the final part of the fixing the drawing commands. Which I think they're pretty fixed at the moment. It's just, I'm in convoluted hell at the moment. Everything's convoluted. I don't know if this is a problem I need to answer now. With this, like, how do I access the elements properly? But I'll think about it. I'll think about it while I go through and... What do I want to do? Let's delete the third doc in the list of docs. And see where that puts us. We're not using these variables at the moment. This indexes into something I don't care about. But I think we need to track something a bit differently. Yeah. Okay. So we need to track something a bit differently here. So let's think about this. So we have debug model and we have rigid body index. We have data entity index. Okay. So let's. I think the idea behind these two is these are for the array model and array debug model. So, and these are for accessing array. I'm going to put like enum in here. What is it called? Models something. And then I guess, how would I list this? Models, then the second, and like entity index. Oh no, what am I doing? It's that's what I need to do. Okay, sorry, okay, and put these in like this kind of thing. Yeah, array. Okay. And put that. Right, so let's do it like this, right? Accessing this. These are for accessing second index. And so we already have the infrastructure for this. I'm aware this is like super convoluted. We have got arrays of arrays that have different meanings. Second index. So the idea, anyway, between these guys is, let's just say we have a list of docs, right? And in the list of docs, we want to access the actual this specifically, like this actual buffer. Then we have to use this data index to get the second, to get the actual data that we care about to modify or delete or something. Same with this guy, but it's over here. And these are just for accessing the models and the actual physical models, like the actual things we loaded from a file. Okay, so yeah, I feel a bit bad for Detry code right at the moment. My code, for warning for anyone, is probably in its most convoluted state of all time, but it's like, hopefully now we can start simplifying it and making it make sense. So let's just make sure that in our scene creation code, every time we create an entity, the stuff that goes into that entity data, the entities, is in fact Yes, that is correct. So the last... so yeah, so it is these two. Okay, fantastic. So if we want to access the individual data behind the model, which are separate, we have to use the entities. Jesus, I need to write like a whole documentation on this at the moment. We need to use these indices to access this, this second index here. And what I'm going to do is actually do this and this. Yeah, and also... No, I'll keep the... get rid of that. Though I don't think we're going to use it. As far as I can tell, that's not used here. I put a breakpoint here just so this is not correct at the moment, but we'll get there. So yes, so the model index, so that's what the individual instance of the instances, the model and the debug. Okay, so let's just say we delete something, and I'm on the Japanese keyboard again. From main. We want to access something. How do we access this in a way that makes sense? So what would be entity, entity something, right? Entity right, okay. So we have to assume that at the very least we have some entities to delete. So okay, that's the first thing we need to check. I think we can't do anything in here regardless. I think this is the most obvious thing, right? Oops, my bad. So and let's just say in gameplay we have for some reason somehow selected that whoops. We're going to delete, because of gameplay, not because I'm pressing a key, entity 3, right? Don't know how we got there, but we figured out that we need to delete entity 3. And the thing we need to make sure is that we do a delete swap, though. That's the problem with this. All our entities are okay. Let's think about this. So I don't think we could do a delete swap here. We have to do an erase. The thing is with this, oh yeah, all this crap that we failed to do. This is order dependent. We can't do a delete swap because the element at which we are on okay, so let's pull this out. Needs, yeah, the otherwise we're going to go insane trying to track delete swapped things. So we have it might be slow that, but I'll try and figure it out in the simplest way first. We have just thinking about Rash's comment earlier. What did he say? 100 times greater minds than me have been confused by this escape point. Oh, I see. Yeah, you're talking about frames of flight. I thought you were just talking about me in general. Yeah, I didn't quite understand that, but now I get it. Yeah, it is confusing. I thought you were saying 100 times minds have been confused by my code. 100 times smarter than me have been confused by my code, which is probably somewhat true as well. So, anyway, just making myself laugh, I guess. Anyway, so we have seen. We want to delete an entity, and it's element 3. We need to get not the model index, but the entity data out. Okay. Index, I guess, because it is an index. And this is entity data index. And what's the other one? Okay, never mind then. It is not model index, rigid body index. So we have these. What is this game about? It's a little space game. I'm just debugging it at the moment. So we're going to be flying around in space, doing some kind of spacey adventure. Yeah, and thanks for joining us, by the way, big boy bicycle boy. Hope you're having a great day as well. So I should be able to show you in a minute once I've figured out this particular thing I'm trying to figure out. And then we want to say, instead of element, this and this. I think it's safe to say that we're going to delete element 3, which is the third duck, which is the second duck actually, but it's duck, rock, duck. Okay, to the person who's just tuned in, this will make a bit more sense in a minute. So through gameplay, we have decided to delete a duck. So, and a lot of this stuff right now is just like debug graphics as well. So, and it would help if I could not make a mistake. Oh, current rigid body. Yep. Okay. Fair enough. Just delete. Didn't clean up a variable. Right. So we should see, again, this is just for debug purposes. We should see this guy and the surrounding debug geometry deleted. Because we've somehow figured out that this is the thing we want to delete. But let's see if I have worked this out properly. Okay, close. Not quite right. So we've deleted the right duck, but the wrong debug geometry. Detching going back to sleep after hearing my talk. Seems cool, thank you. Are you using a game engine or you just raw C++ Vulkan? Yeah, the latter. Yes, we are. C++ and Vulkan to our own detriment, I guess. So yeah, yeah, that's what we're doing. So we have deleted 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so how do I get this right? It's possible that where you've got the wrong... so we got the right duck, but we got the wrong rock. So what I'm working on at the moment is the deletion code. I want to make sure that it's one, reasonably obvious what we're doing. Okay, that's a bit of an ask. Okay. Reasonably, I want to be able to reason about my deletion code. So we've actually moved on from our draw commands. We've actually got them working. Yes, but we are on debug deletion code at the moment. So right, so we deleted the wrong. Did I have this? Okay, no, that's correct. Oh, that's why. Okay, that's very simple mistake. I put the wrong indices in the wrong place. So we shall see how that works out. If I try again, so we're trying to delete the same duck again. Okay. Okay, this is even more wrong, but that's information, I guess. So then, okay, that is the correct. And yes, from element 3. Interesting. But let's okay. Let's just see what ended up actually happening. So when we deleted, so we deleted 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth duck. So This is just my plan. So I'll zoom in on this so you can actually read a bit. Not that there's anything to read that's useful. Mostly this is just this was just me trying to work out the steps to do what I've done. Turns out I didn't need to do a lot of this stuff, but it was just nice. We didn't have to recreate the buffer. We just had to have the separate buffer. Anyway, so I'm rambling. Right, we need to say... What did we end up doing here? We ended up deleting... Okay, so we ended up deleting... We deleted... entity 3, which corresponds to debug model 1 index counting. We're counting from 0, and we have duck 4. So no, 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is 3. Model 3. So yeah, corresponding from that. Okay. 0, 1, 2. Actually, this should be 2, not 3. Let me try again. That might be the mistake here. Let's delete again, because it's actually 0 counted. No, we just moved down. We're still deleting the same thing. Let's see. So we got that's 1, and now this is now model 2, and this is when we're deleting entity 2. Okay, that's just there for reference. In fact, I can also take a picture, so we don't have to rerun this. And grab this, screenshot, minimize, close, close, ignore the crash. Okay, so right, so we have entity size here. Yes, this is fine. 0, 1, 2, so that should be the second dock. And delete swap, delete swap. We shouldn't ever access these directly, which is fine. That's why delete swap is valid. We have the entity index. Let's just make sure we're assigning the right entity indexes. It's possible that we're not getting that right, and that's why we're getting so weird results. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we got it. I keep making that mistake. Jeez. I assigned it. Yeah, I assigned them. Okay. I assigned the wrong things to the wrong values, so I ended up with a super obvious mistake, which is good because it's that's an easy improvement. So we are trying to delete this guy. Great. Okay, perfect. As far as I can tell, that is in the mid. The reason that that's good is because it's in the middle. It's sometimes easier to delete. You know, it will be easier to delete stuff from the beginning and end. Okay, so now we've got to real test this. Let's go into our main code and increment this by 2, which will be a nice test. So we deleted one doc. Now we're going to delete the next doc, but we've obviously got to increment this by 2 because the doc is okay, so we've got to take this out of here. I'll just throw out the for loop. And I think after this point we're going to try and simplify what we've done because it's a bit all over the place. Okay. And just verify if anything I've done makes sense. And hopefully I'll explain through the code, it'll make a bit more sense. Okay, so we already know that that deletes that, and we've hopefully incremented the element by 2, so we should be deleting this fella, not any of the rocks. Okay, so that's not quite right. And so what did we delete here? We deleted a... So if I do it again, what ends up happening? Okay, so it just crashes because we've deleted too many things. Let's just check the values on the second go through, and we'll see how this is working. Oh, hang on. I just realized we've deleted something from the array, so we don't increment by 2 because we're skipping over the one that's already deleted. Okay, so again, I won't ever be doing things like this. It's just debugging reasons right now, which is kind of tough. Okay, let's try again. And delete, and what ends up happening? I'm not actually sure. Yes, okay, so that's correct. The reason that didn't work previously is because we deleted 1, and then from this position I added 2, so this doesn't exist anymore. So it went from here to here, so it went to this one, and it kind of got confused. It didn't know what to delete, I think. But obviously, once it's deleted, the total number of ducks is reduced by 1. So yeah, to skip over this we need to add by 1, not 2. Yeah, it's a whole... I understand this is very convoluted, but it's going to help us in the future once we've figured out. And in theory we probably could delete the next duck. Let's keep going. So okay, so I won't be able to see why that is, but clearly we have a delete swap. Okay, delete swap failed. Okay, that's right. Okay, so if element yeah, I can see why this is failing actually. Maybe you do need to delete swap. Hang on. Let's try that again. Okay. No. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. Okay, that just makes no sense. It's gone to gibberish. I'll just do +2 just in case that makes sense again, but I doubt it. Hey, Coding Banana, how you doing, dude? Yeah, not bad. Just very, very hot. Fortunately, it's the last day of the heat. It's very early for hot as well, so. But we are deleting things properly now. But I'm just trying to figure out how the deletion code needs to work. Right. Okay. So now. Right. Right. Okay. And did we just get lucky though? Okay, let's try and delete the first one then. How's your day going, Coding Banana? Yeah, I had to start the stream a bit later because I kept crashing the GPU earlier. And we know how well that goes. So 0, 2, 4. And for some reason we can't delete the next one, which is kind of strange. Yeah. Okay. So let's go in debug mode and see why that's the case. So we're in release at the moment because we wanted to debug that with. We've got an array overflow. This is what it's telling me. Like I'm trying to access something that's not possible to access based on an assert. And if we've deleted 3 things from a list, I can't imagine that 1, 2, 3. Sorry, if we have an array of 5 and we deleted 3 things, I don't see why we would end up in that situation. But anyway, Let's investigate. So we need to turn on all the logging. And for those who aren't really into coding, I'm switching between debug and release because I need to use this program sometimes to help us figure out exactly what the GPU is trying to do. And you can't really do that with all the validation stuff that we have turned on in debug mode. So that's why that's there. Not bad. I'm studying C++ factories. Ah, fantastic. I never got my head around factories. Admittedly, I kind of read them on the train in Java. Yeah, I just kind of roll with the punches when it comes to my architecture. Maybe explains why everything's a bit messy. Who knows? But yeah, it's a good thing to know. Right. Okay, let's press play and see what happens. Oh, interesting. That's never come up before. I know what that's saying. That's saying that I've got two validation things turned on at once and it's very slow. Which is by design because I've made so many mistakes with read-write things. But I've actually never seen it. That only appears on Linux for some reason, but I guess it's now appearing on Windows because I updated Vulkan again. Anyway, right, so and then I try to delete the next one, and I go out of range for an element which is 3 and the size is 2. So if I deleted 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, this is what I feared, actually. So this has this entity's where are we? Okay, so this, where is it? This meta structure, which is supposed to have indices in the index into everything, has them created at runtime. At load time, and then it keeps them. Now, if I delete things and the size of the array gets smaller, then the index into these arrays don't make any sense anymore, right? So let's just say I delete, I don't know. I think all I need to do, I think this is quite straightforward, maybe. I just need to reduce, every time we delete something, these need to be reduced by 1. Now this might not make sense, but bear with me. So these are indices into an array. Now my, not argument, but my idea here is the fact that if I delete element 7, 6, 9, and 2, right? Oh no, it's not going to make sense, is it? Because it's possible that element 0 still exists, and if I minus 1 from that, then we get minus 1, which we can't have, because that will overflow into an invalid index value. Let's think. So this would work if I was just deleting things in order, like from the first index to the last index, right? But we have this issue where when we delete something from this, no matter if we use delete swap, it doesn't really matter, I don't think. The indices are then too high, potentially speaking. Well, definitely, because if we delete one element, for example, and then delete the last element, it'll say, in this case, we deleted duck 0, and then we try and delete duck 5. It's like, what are you talking about? The array size is 4. How can we delete element 5? Which, yeah, that makes sense, right? I hope that makes sense to everyone. So the indices that this array has held onto doesn't match these anymore once we delete one element. Which is kind of tricky. What should I do? What should I do? Not that. I want to change song, or at least turn this up a little bit. Yeah, I'm a bit stumped on that one, to be honest. So we have entity indices. It's like we need to update all the arrays with some kind of sequence. I don't know what that would be. Let's think. Let's break out. I don't know if this is going to be easier. I hope. This might not be easier to do a quick debug session in this project, which is just the simplest C++ stuff that you can do. So oops. So you're probably very familiar with this. Finally, code that makes sense. Alright. So I have a struct that has, let's call it entity, an index value, right? Every time we create a entity and add it to a list, entities, oops, and then let's just say we have another array with data in. So this is the entity data, I guess. But I'm just gonna have it with, yeah, let's make another struct so I don't get confused. Entity data. uint32. Data. So this is data, not an index. So I probably maybe a uint8t is better. All right. So entity data. Data, right? So every time we, so let's just say we want to create 10 entities. Uh, 10. We go entities. No, should we say data? Push back. I don't know. A random char, right? We'll cast this to uint8. Not that it matters really. And we'll throw this in a initializer thingy. And now what we do is we go, okay, entities dots and this entity takes in I, and then what we do later on in the gameplay loop is we say, okay, I want to access the data, right? I go, okay, well, what data do you want to access? I go, okay. Entities. I want to access entity. I don't know. I'll even use the same value elements. 4. That's not a 4. Okay, so we got elements. And then we take out the index. And we go, okay. Uint 32. Index. Right? And then we go, okay, yeah. Then I go, okay, yeah, index. And then obviously I want to do something like change this to capital A. Change data to capital A. Okay, so that's how my system works at the moment. So we assume we take element from a gameplay thing. Then we can extract out the index, and all is good. However, if I delete elements, let's just say I delete. Hopefully, I can just do this without any pain in the neck. Erase. Right, I'm just gonna have to look. Like, how does erase work? I always forget because I don't use this very much. Erase. Oops, that's not how you spell it at all. Because I just want to get rid of one element. Removes 2 elements at index 2. Alright, cool. So I'm going to delete, I don't know, begin +2. So great, fantastic. Now here's the problem. Okay, let's also delete data as well. So I would also need to take the entity index at 2 here and go, okay, yeah. Also erase data dots begin +2. Cool. Okay, so now this all should work without any issue. I'm not going to display anything, so it should just run. Index is redefined. Okay. Let's call this 1 for now. It doesn't really matter. There we go. So that's what I meant to do. So it shouldn't compile. It should compile fine. Now, here's where everything breaks. Data. I want to get the last element in the list, and we're going to print this one out. It's standard count. IO stream. So if anyone's following along, you might already see what's going to happen here. So we are going to try and access data, but at what index, right? So I want to get the last index, entities, and we'll just access the size -1 to get the last element in this list. Dot size -1 equal. So that gives us the index, and we're going to say last index. Uint 32, last index. Right. These are all gameplay reasons here. So, and then I'm like, all right, display that. Which should be, I don't know what it's going to be. Let's try and make this make sense a bit. Let's ASCII 8. ASCII. So it's easier to actually, because I don't know what character is going to be displayed at 10. Yeah, so I think it's 34. Ugh, go away. So I want capital A. That's the first one. What is this? Hex. Okay, it is 65. So We take this, we go in here, we go, alright, I plus 65, so that just means it's displayable. And before we do anything, there we go. Okay, so and cool, right? Okay, so we got J. Interesting. I expected it not to work. Let me just display what's in entities after the erase. So it should have deleted literally number 1. So I'm going to use an enhanced for loop for speed. And entities. Oh. Auto. There we go. So standard count. And do a new line. Okay. Now we need like a... Unfortunately we need to say values, and then here we want to say last value. Entities.index. Let's not do a new line. Let's do a simple space character. Okay, that should be good. Even do a comma. How about that? Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3. Yes, 9. And when I get the last element, what do I get here? Excuse me. What is this? Oh, I'm in release. Okay. Go to debug. Thank you. Okay, 9. Size is 9. Right. See, we should be able to see that we, A, B, C, D. Now if I press F10, this should break. That's what I wanted to happen the whole time. Thank you. Holy. I think there's some optimization magic happening there that was guarding me from seeing that. Okay, so that makes sense. It broke in the way I wanted to break. The problem is, how do I, when I delete something from this that carries all the entities, all the indices into this array, how do I remap this relationship? Okay, so at least I've got some demo code to mess with. Because we're running into the same problem right now. Now, what you can't do is, as well, is just arbitrarily take the index -1. You might think that, oh, well, simple, right? This will work. If you want the last element, just -1. Yes, that will display J, which is the last element in the list. I'll just display all the values, I guess. Let's see, we want data. Data. I think val just has data in it. And yeah, let's run that again. Oh yeah, so A, B, C, A, because that's the one we updated. F, G, blah, blah, blah. Right, so we displayed the last element. Fantastic. I might do a new line here. Anyway. But now what happens if I want to display the first element? Right, I can't just blindly say -1. What it is I need to update all the indices -1 past the index. I think that's what it is, right? So if I delete something from entities, I need to go and write a no. There's probably some C++ standard template library thing that's going to do exactly what I'm going to write, but what I need to do then is take I equals deleted index. So, yep. Whatever this is, we need to take that and do index 1 minus entities dot size, as far as I can tell, and then I plus plus. I'm almost certain that there's a C++ template library that does this. Almost certain. It's like, because I know the standard accumulate, so there's going to be standard like something, some standard algorithm that does this kind of thing. But so what I'm going to try to do is access each element beyond hopefully this index 2, and we're going to take dot index. We're going to subtract 1 from all them. So unfortunately a delete is still linear, but whatever. Come on. Right, okay, so we delete the elements only after the point at which we subtracted and deleted something. So in theory, without having to do this, we're going to get the right value. But we'll see. Retry. Where did we die at? Okay. 9. Oh. My bad. I had a feeling I kind of typed something out wrong rather than... Jeez. Yeah, okay. So that makes sense as far as I can tell. So when we delete something, let's just try this again. So... let's just see, how do I want to do this? So, again... Now I'm going to delete not 2, but 4. I'm going to entity 4. In fact, let's just delete 2 again, yeah. And... yeah, I need to do standard erase. I can't do a delete swap either, I just realized. But if we take this and we do it again, and we take the last element again, we should get J twice after these agains without any issue. Let's see. Now redefinition of values. Just fine. 2. And is there anything else? Last index. There we go. Yeah, so we got J twice. Now, final thing, just to absolutely test this 100%. I want to get the first element in the list. Now, I don't think I need to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. We should get A first. And throw that in there. And this is literally just going to be element, whatever, however we found it, but entity 0, index. And we shouldn't crash. We should get A. Okay. Alright. So this fixing of our entities with this for loop idea means that this entity struct, right, is, or this vector even, is order dependent. I can't then, because it relies on the fact that we know that everything after this index point is now too large because we deleted that element. So we have to do an erase on our object. We can't do a delete swap, and then we also need to take off entities, and again I'll wrap this up so it's not horrible. Entity, sorry, uint32, I is less than this, scene.entities.size, right, plus plus, and this needs to start at not 0, but whatever the element is that we figured out ahead of time. I think let's just look at our code. This comes from, oh, this should have been 2, never mind. So where does this index come from that we end up using? Oh yeah, okay, so whatever the where are we? No, I think it has to be 2, not. Yeah, okay. So this needs to be element actually in here, I think. Yeah. Right, okay, so I think that's better. I think that's actually correct. I think we made a little mistake that wouldn't have shown up, but so each element beyond this point, the model, no, rigid body index -1, scene entities I dot rigid body model index, no, entity index, entity data index is -1. As far as I can tell, this will stop us from deleting. When we reuse this entity index, it will stop us from accessing too far. And yeah, this is fine. Okay, so let's give that a shot. As far as I can tell, that's correct. Okay, so almost. We're not quite there yet, but that's kind of what we're trying to aim for. Okay, now we have gone too far, but I believe that's because this doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, we've gone into, yeah, we're trying to delete stuff that doesn't exist. Okay, so this works perfectly for the debug stuff because there is no. Okay, this is trickier than I thought. Dude. The problem is here is that we aren't deleting enough. Now, if I did this for the entity data, -2. I'll explain why it's -2 in a minute, but I think that's going to work perfectly. Oh. Never mind. Okay, let's see. That's unexpected. Okay, let's just see why this works. What ends up happening? Oh, I didn't see that. We deleted this guy. Interestingly enough. Right. Why did that happen? And so when we deleted... Okay. I think it's because of the delete swap. I think this also makes it order dependent, which is annoying. Let's try that. We'll see. Nope. Okay. Yeah, that's not correct. Right, when I did this, did I delete the... Yeah, I did the erase first. I don't think it matters though. Okay, let's think about this a bit again. So we have... Oh, this is a tricky one. This is a tricky one because the things are out of order, right? It's not like a big string of things that we're trying to delete. We're trying to delete like 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, etc. Rather than just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, I am going to give you guys a link to my server. If you're interested, it is there. Once I've actually grabbed it. Yeah, feel free to join. There's no requirements, you just have to be chill. Everyone's welcome. There's lots of programmers in there, so if you need some programming help, especially with Vulkan, there's a lot of people in there. I am going to call it here because it's 5 o'clock. And yeah, I appreciate everyone who's been watching. I know it was a bit of a shorter stream today, but I had to start late because my GPU is crashing. So hopefully this convoluted code will be simplified by the time we see each other next time. But if not, we'll work on deletion code together. Yeah, so I appreciate everyone who's been watching. And yeah, I will see you all soon. No problem, TT. And yes, I'll see you maybe tomorrow. Who knows? All right.